by the time the presentation is getting uploaded. First of all, my sincere thanks to Director General CAPS and Additional Director General CAPS for giving me this opportunity to present my views amongst the esteemed panelists and this August gathering. Um, I will be presenting my views on India's collaboration with the island states, a critical element in its Global South approach, where I will try to answer three questions that why the focus on the island states, and in particular the island states of the Indian Ocean region, amongst the host of countries that form the Global South. How is India engaging with these countries of the global south? And lastly, I would focus on how can India enhance its stakes in the Indian Ocean region amidst the growing footprints of China and various other regional and distant powers. With great powers undergoing a moment of reckoning currently and emerging powers such as India and China playing an important role in the Indian Ocean region by pulling up their strings, there is no denying the fact that Indian Ocean has emerged central in trade, investment and technology. And certainly it is shaping the contours of the global order. Geopolitically, the ocean is very important as it has re-emerged in the strategic mapping and policy making of several distant and regional powers. Geoeconomically, the region is important not only due to the traversing of the huge amount of the trade which passes through the Indian Ocean region, that is one third of the container traffic, but also because of the huge amount of resources which are present in this ocean. And uh, when I talk about the resources, I do focus on three aspects of the Indian Ocean region. That is the Bay of Bengal, which is quite rich in several conventional and non-conventional gas reserves. The Central Indian Ocean Basin is the has the third largest reserves of the polymetallic nodules. And these polymetallic nodules are kind of golf ball shaped like small balls which have various rare earth and critical minerals accretions on it. And when I come to the Western Indian Ocean, it covers the various reserves of oil and gas all along the eastern coast of Africa to West Asia. Geostrategically, the region is gaining a lot of prominence, as Ambassador Kanta rightly said, is because of the intense competition between India and China in this region as compared to US and China and other Southeast Asian countries when we talk about the Pacific Ocean. And not only India is a residential player in this region, but also India occupies nearly 40% of the strategic waters of this ocean. We do consider the Indian Ocean as a backyard and a primary area of responsibility when it was mentioned in our Maritime Security Strategy and 2022 Doctrine of the Indian Air Force. Further, why this region is geostrategically more important per se is that China is not making its inroads only through economic and diplomatic initiatives, rather also institutional initiatives which such as the China Indian Ocean Region Forum, where it sought to bring about the island countries of the Indian Ocean together. And last month they concluded its second summit. Also, China is playing militarily a very important role by engaging in defense transfers with many of these island states, such as Seychelles, such as Madagascar. This brings me to an important point that as China, the competition between China and India intensifies, the role of the island states in playing a balancing game where they want to take help from all the quarters becomes more important, and it puts to maximize their own benefits. Then when I cover the island states, so basically this map was just included to show that how Seychelles is located right to the west of Maldives. The Comoros Islands, which is sitting just at the northern end of the Madagascar channel. Madagascar is the largest and the most populous island states. We have the extended territory of France, which is in the Western Indian Ocean. And in Bay of Bengal, towards the southern end, we have the Cocos Keeling Island of Australia. And amidst this all mix, of course, India also has its own island territories of Lakshadweep and Andaman and Nicobar Islands. What brings why yes so why the island states become very important is because of their strategic location on the long distances of the ocean, where they serve as important grounds for logistical bases and communication bases. As seen, of course, as we know that United States has a base there, Gogatia, in the Chagos archipelago of Mauritius. Further, countries with sizable amounts of military reach, they eye the islands as tabletops to project uh, power and use them to extend their reach and interoperability. Being located in the close vicinity, these islands are located in the close vicinity. When I switch to the next map, so these islands are located in the vicinity of the choke points. These dots, the green dots are the choke points of the Indian Ocean region, and the yellow lines that you see is the density of the trade which passes through these choke points. So which further lends importance to these island states, because they serve as grounds to secure the trade which passes through them. What further zooms out the significance of these island states is also the presence of resources within the periphery of these islands. And in this context, it is important to note that Madagascar has the sixth largest reserve of Colombo tantalate, which forms one of the important rare earth minerals and exports a huge amount to other countries. And when I talk about the Madagascar channel, about the resources it has, the Chinese National Petroleum Company, its largest investments with terms of natural gas are in the Mozambique channel. What further, these island states, they occupy more of the marine space than their land area. Of course, the extended coastlines do bring a lot of opportunities for them, such as tourism, prospects of port activities, laying hands on several minerals. However, there are also certain challenges because these island states have limited human resource and skills to manage these large exclusive economic zones and maritime borders. Further, this region, when we are talking, it is also a region which is sitting at the crossroads of several non-traditional challenges such as piracy. We have seen the recent case of MV Ruin, and where India extended its help. There are also cases of sea-based terrorism, lot of illegal, unreported, unregulated fishing taking place in this region. The lack of, as I mentioned, the lack of ability of these island states to do surveillance of the EEZs, which further magnifies the importance of these island states. In this context, I will now bring into the point that how India is playing a very important role, and to set its legacy, India played quite a brilliant role by bringing in the consensus in the G20, especially at a time when the global politics is undergoing through its most roughest and the toughest phase. By bringing in consensus and making the G20 as G21, and surely we can say that India's Midas touch to these issues, what matters is really Global South. And in this context, the Comoros and Mauritius were the guest countries, which played a very important role in the ministerial meetings, and particularly the grouping on the disaster risk reduction. Now I will cover the broad India's engagement under these broad categories. The first is diplomacy. The kernel of diplomatic depth when it comes to New Delhi is quite visible in its way, it is in its style, the symbolism and the substance of each of the visits which have been taken place, especially under Prime Minister Modi, where we have seen Prime Minister himself making visit, even the president at the vice presidential level, and also the foreign minister who made several visits to these islands. India has also played an important role when it comes to the information networking by launching the Information Fusion Center Indian Ocean region in 2018, which enmeshes the information which is collected from the coastal radar networks which are placed in the a few of the island states, and further merges them with the information centers in Kochi and Mumbai. The first listening post on the foreign soil was established by India in Madagascar way back in 2007-2008. So, of course, the information networking, what India has done in the region is quite important and plays a very dominant role to undertake any kind of security cooperation in this region. Further, military and security cooperation, when I talk about, there's no doubt that India has been and continues to be the first responder in the eventuality of any crisis in this region. And in this context, India's cooperation covers quite a broad canvas, including the military training, where I'll just give very brief examples, and rest I can address during the Q&A session. India meets the 70% training needs of the Maldivian National Defense Forces. We annually train the police forces of Mauritius. When it comes to the military diplomacy, there have been regular port calls, visits, joint exercises with these countries such as Lamite with Seychelles or equivalent Dosti with Maldives. We also help them in joint surveillance of the EEZs, their EEZ, and that example is the PASIX exercise with Madagascar. Further, we also do a lot of hydrographic surveys for the island states, which are important for both the onshore and the offshore activities. And also for a lot of the operations such as finding the fertile fishing grounds, the port designs, or the cable laying operations. The military assistance, we are quite familiar with Operation Vanilla that was launched by Indian Navy and Indian Air Force after the devastation which was caused by the cyclone. We have also seen the direct deployment of our forces when it was during the 1988 coup. Further, I would like to bring in notice two important initiatives that India is taking, that is Reunion Islands, where we have deployed our P-8 Poseidon and we conduct the joint patrolling with them. Also with Cocos Keeling, we are in talk with Australia, and recently, a few months back, our C-130 and the Dornier aircraft were there, and we are planning to work with them on a burden sharing model where we can do the surveillance of the EEZ. The economic ties and infrastructure development can be focused later during Q&A, where we have taken high impact community development projects and several the cultural linkages. Now, to conclude and to say that as India continues to sit on the driver's seat of the Indian Ocean region, despite these initiatives that we have taken, we really need to shift our gears much faster than before. And in this context, few of the suggestions are first, India must undertake more high-impact community development projects which are community-driven and which are also community driven and based on the priorities of the people. Second, India must forge more institutional engagements as they create a certain kind of some relative certainties amidst uncertainties. And third, being one of the pillars of Quad, India must drive an Indo-focus that is not just limited to India but includes broader Indian Ocean region. Last but not the least, being a proximate power and a preferred security partner, India must exploit its democratic credentials and explore newer areas of cooperation such as cybersecurity, financial technology, renewable energy, and digitization. Thank you.